Put the ugly babies away, Greg. Hey there, beer tubers. Welcome back to Beer Analysis 101 tonight for our special St. Patrick's Day version of Beer Analysis 101. We're going to do an Irish beer tonight that is Kilkenny's Irish Cream Ale.
Cream.
Anyway, before we get started here, turn myself off on the background here. Before we get started here, we're going to go down to the panel that we have with us tonight, starting with Mr. A, which is Ashley, or Ash Sexton. How you doing tonight, Mr. Sexton Brewing?
I am doing fantastic, thank you, sir. And how are you?
Not doing too bad.
Great.
Nobody cares. All right. Moving along to Lee. How are you doing tonight, Lee?
The seconds continue to tick by, getting us closer to the cold embrace of death. Let's get this going.
Man. All right. Mr. Chris, Mr. Lizak of Off the 10th. How are you doing tonight? Nice microphone.
Thank you very much, Macwell, for having me for the St. Patrick's Day celebration 17 days early. But we're good. We're doing this this beer, and it's Nitro, baby.
It's 4 days early. It's Sunday. It's the last beer analysis before St. Patrick's Day. And I'm going to stop. You're going to hear a lot tonight. At least it's not going to be as bad as Sapporo. All right. And Mr. Greg, how are you doing tonight,
Greg? What?
As bad as...
All
right.
Best beer, Japan.
We'll save that for the card afterwards. Greg, how you doing tonight, Mr. Greg?
I'm doing great, Nick. And you know what the five of us have in common? We're all the sperm that won.
Yes, we are. Oh, good Lord. All right. So moving right along, of course, tonight's beer, Kilkenny Irish Ale. What exactly is Kilkenny Irish Ale? Well, to explain that, we have to understand the entire beer history between Smithwick's or Smithwick's Brewery. So the story of Kilkenny starts in 1705 with the foundation of Smithwick's Brewery in Kilkenny, Ireland, by John Smithwick and Richard Cole. The history of brewing in Kilkenny dates back to about 300 years earlier, with the foundation of St. Francis Abbey, sometime between 1231 and 1234, by the Order of Friars Minor, an order of Franciscan monks founded by Francis of Assisi. St. Francis of Assisi. The monks, starting in the 14th century, had brewed beer for sustenance and were well known in the area for their brewery. However, the monks were expelled after the dissolution of the monasteries in 1550, and though worship had returned to the abbey by the late 1560s, by the mid-1700s, the population of the abbey had dwindled greatly, and the last friar had died in 1829. In 1641, as a young boy, John Smithwick was left orphaned by the Irish Rebellion and settled in Kilkenny to start a new life, where through hard work he would make himself into a successful entrepreneur. There's a power hour there. In 1705, in partnership with Richard Cole, went into business, founding a brewery at the site of the former abbey on land that Cole had leased from the Duke of Osmond. In 1710, John Smithwick had become sole owner of the brewery, though this was not publicly known at the time, as penal laws in Ireland prohibited Catholics from owning property until laws were changed in 1782, at which time the Smithwick family claimed full ownership of the brewery. Over the centuries, the brewery remained within the Smithwick's family for generations. One such competitor they had was Sullivan's Brewery, located across the street. Famously, during the Irish potato famine in 1847, the two competitors put aside their grievances to open a soup kitchen to help the people in need. Sullivan stayed in business until 1918, at which time they were bought out by Smithwick's. In 1964, Smithwick sold a controlling interest in their brewery to their longtime malting customer, Guinness, with Peter Smithwick staying in charge of the brewery. In 1966, in celebration of this new partnership, Smithwick's and Guinness developed Smithwick's Draft. Sometime during the mid-'80s, Guinness began marketing an export version of Smithwick's Draft to international markets such as Canada and Australia, using the name of Smithwick's hometown, Kilkenny. in Ireland. Kilkenny Irish Cream Ale was a nitrogenated version, like its stout counterpart, Guinness, to simulate draft at home, and like an export ale, is brewed stronger and hoppier than its Smithwick's counterpart. In 2014, Diageo closed down the original Smithwick's brewery at the St. Francis Abbey and moved all production to St. James Gate in Dublin. The original brewery has since been converted into a historic Smithwick's Experience brewery that offers tours of the original brewery, brewery history, and, of course, beer tastings. Other beers from Smithwick's include, for the Irish market, they make their draft, their red ale, a pale ale, their Atlantic blonde ale. For international markets, they make Smithwick's Premium Red Ale, which is also available here in North America. 4.5% ABV export version of Smithwick's Red. And as part of Diageo, they're related, of course, to Guinness and Harp Lager and several other brands of spirits. So, in this case tonight, Kilkenny is a 4.3% ABV Irish Red Ale. Beer is brewed hoppier and stronger than its Smithwick draft counterpart, and is typically found canned with a nitrogen widget, giving the beer a soft, creamy texture to simulate the draft pour at home. Since its introduction, Kilkenny has become a favorite import ale amongst Canadians, especially in areas such as Irish communities like Montreal. So yeah, it's become more popular here, and it's really only sold in here, or Australia, or other export nations. So I'm going to crack this open and do a live pour on camera, which I'm probably going to mess up. But of course, it's nitro, so you should be able to
hard pour that.
Yeah, you can terrio pour that shit, and it won't matter.
Yeah, but there's more. This glass is sized for Guinness.
Oh, you don't have a proper
500
glass.
Well,
Terrible.
it's a Guinness glass.
Nick, that is
Yes.
incredibly.
Thanks for everyone for
unprofessional.
watching. We'll talk to you guys later.
That's our analysis for tonight. We're doing there.
This show is now over. Please go see Jay Terrio's show.
Okay. So let's get over to the comments, and I don't want Greg reading them. So, Lee, do you want to volunteer? Maybe.
Sure. Eric Gilbert says, "Can't wait for the well-mannered, not racism and ginger grammar Nazism." Craig's in the chat saying, "Evening, gents." Sexton replied to this stuff on the 10th, was asking everyone what they're drinking. Eric Gilbert says, I would be drinking tea. That is right. Okay. And Writing on Your Parade is in here, and he says he's drinking Innocent Gun Kindred Spirits, and I like it. And that's it.
That's okay. I think they still have some from last year of Kindred Spirits still left in shelves, which is amazing considering Innocent Guns don't usually have that kind of shelf life.
Well, they don't mean to, but it's
they sit there. You know, not the Kindred Spirits is all that bad. It just wasn't all that. Wow.
They're shelf turds, and then they're shelf sharts.
You can pretty much say that for every
That's
Innocent Gun
turd.
beer. It's not that great, or it's not that bad, but yeah. Is it
That's what
five? It
was a tasty beer.
$5
It's
a
just a
good
shelf
beer?
turd. All right. Speaking of shelf turds, Mr. Ash, what's your history with Kilkenny? Do you have any?
Oh, rude.
Wow.
No, you're not actually a shelf turd,
Thanks.
but you did have a turd before the show, so we're kind of going with that.
Jesus, Nick. That was private information.
It wasn't private. It just said it to everybody.
The professionalism is just dropped.
All right, go ahead. What?
So my history dates back to March 13th of 2019 at 4 p.m. That's when I had 2 of these while I was making dinner.
Nice.
That's all I'm going to give you, Nick.
I suppose it's all I deserve right now, isn't it? All right, Mr. Lee, what's your history of Kilkenny?
I don't know the exact time and date that I had this for the first time. It was 10 years ago. At least that's when I first reviewed this, and that's back when I was still very enamored with this whole nitro thing. You know, I was very more baby palated, like a certain individual on this panel. But yeah, I was much more into like, oh, these nitro beers are weird and interesting. Of course, nitro beers now, a lot of them tend to be much more flavorful and much more interesting than what you tend to get from this sort of Guinness pack of nitro thingies. And yeah, I've had it here and there over the years. My opinion of it has probably gone down. We'll get to that when we do the review, but it's been a beer I've been familiar with for at least a decade or more. So there you
go. Right on.
Hello. Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
So, are we going to rate this as an Irish red ale or as a cream ale? Just so I know before it comes to me.
It's open for interpretation. I would consider it more a red ale because that's what it says it is, even though
pretty much everywhere.
I think they go by Irish cream ale because of the nitrogenation.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I think Irish cream ale isn't really a style per se. Whereas, I think pretty much everywhere listed as basically Irish red ale. So
Irish red is on Untapped, and that is the definitive resource.
Glad we're on the same page. Thank you.
And then that's rate beer. You got to look at rate beer. So wait while I look it up in rate beer.
You may proceed, Fuhrer.
I did not see that coming.
Anyway, speaking of
this show is slower than Facebook.
Irish ale. Fuck rate beer. All right, so moving along to Mr. Chris. What's your history with this beer?
I had this beer back in July 23rd of 2015 at exactly 7:35 p.m. in Chad's basement. It's the very first time. Actually, I never untapped it. I'm just making that shit up. But I did have it about 3 years ago, and it was in Chad's basement because Chad was like, "Oh, you gotta try all these nitro beers." I'm like, "Okay, I'll Kilkenny's nitro. Okay, I'll try it." And that was the first time I had it, and I still never untapped it, surprisingly. But whatever, tonight. It's gonna change tonight for sure. Yeah, that's my history on it. And since I had that 4-pack in one sitting, I hadn't had it since, and I'm glad I'm actually drinking it again.
Yeah,
there you go.
Then we all know about your love of the nitro.
Love the nitro. Nitro.
All right. And Mr. Greg, what's your history with the Kilkenny Irish Cream Ale?
I've had it at least once before. I've untapped it. I don't know when. I don't know where. I don't know. Could have been last year. Could have been a year or two ago. It does come in a 4-pack, which means usually when I'm buying my St. Patrick's Day beers, I often don't get it because I'm like, I don't want 4 of this beer. I want 1. But I was able to buy 1 of them, so that's why I'm on the show today. Otherwise, I would not have bought 4. Yes, I would have. But I was able to get 1 anyway, so that excites me. Yeah, so I don't know when I've had it before, but I have had it before. That's what you got to take from this.
Nice. All right, so when it comes to me and Kilkenny, I don't exactly know when the first time I tried Kilkenny was. I'm assuming they had it sometime before I first reviewed it back in February 2012. It was on my channel as review number. Considering it on my channel now, review number 226. Back when I was a young pup of like 32 years old.
That's like you in the 70s.
Actually, that's February 12th. That was before I turned 32. So I was still 31 at that time.
I'm sorry, I thought that was Ron.
Me in the 70s with the almost mullet going on. You need a haircut.
Does look like Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, well, I've been called Ron Jeremy's nephew before. Anyway, moving right along. Yeah, the first time I don't exactly remember the first time I had it. I know I probably had it before I did the review of it because I loved Guinness before then. I've loved Guinness since I first tried it in 2007. But I don't exactly know when I tried this. All I know is that I reviewed it in 2012 as review number 226, and I liked it at the time, and I thought it was okay, but it won me over with, of course, the nitro smoothness that I was enamored with, just the same passion that Lee was. All right. So, I guess we can move along over. Is there any more comments?
No.
That's it?
That's it.
Well, you lost all the viewers when you were talking about Ashley going to the bathroom.
Probably.
Oh, we got one from Eric Gilbert. He says it's very forgettable that Kilkenny.
We haven't gotten to the review portion yet.
Kenny.
I don't know.
Well, I can sit here drinking this until I wait for any more comments to pop up, but
they're not going to. Just move on.
Yeah. All right, and you said you're back, Ash. All right, you might as well. What's your verdict?
So, I find with nitro beers, and I don't know if it's just me, but I find that the aroma component is completely lost on aromas. I just don't get much outside of just like a faint malt sweetness to it. I'm really glad that we're not that it's not trying to be a cream ale, although that's what it says on the can. That they do list it as a red ale because there definitely are some components that do lend it towards being a red ale. It's definitely got more of a caramel sweet malty backbone, a touch of bitterness. But I find with the nitroness of it, while it does give it, it's like such a very easy drinking beer to, it's very easy to drink. That's just because it's not really carbonated. It's just got like the nitro finish to it, and you're just basically just drinking a beer-like substance it's got alcohol in it. So I mean, it certainly does have some redeeming qualities to it. As a red ale, I would have liked to have had this as a normally conditioned beer, perhaps being a little bit more. I don't know. I find it sort of lacks a little bit with the malt, and I would like for it to have a little bit more of a bitter bite to it for a red ale, but I mean, not like IPA or anything like that, but it's still lacking a little bit of the bitterness that I'd like to have. So, very easy to drink though. You can definitely sit down. It's only 4.3%, so you can definitely, I grabbed a 4-pack of King Cans, and that's probably why I haven't had it before. It's because the only option I've ever had was that 4-pack. But I could easily see myself drinking all of these no problem one night, not even feeling it. It is an enjoyable beer to drink. So for a red ale, I'm going to give it a score of 6 out of 10 for style. Personal enjoyment, I'll give it a 7. Because, I'm going to drink this without complaint, but it's just not exactly as I would see the style. So there we go.
Very nice, sir. All right, Mr. Lee, how you doing?
Don't talk to me like that, you Irish pig dog.
Wow.
I'm a little less up on this at this point. I think I gave it like 3 out of 5 way back in the day when I reviewed it. It's going to go down for me now. I think it's just a ghost of a beer. It's like there's probably a way better beer. Like we were looking at an example of it without the nitro thing going on. Apparently there's a version of this available without the nitro, and I'd really like to try that. I don't necessarily expect it to be amazing, but it would probably at least be more up my alley because I do really like red ales and amber ales, especially when they're done really well. Although I even gravitate more towards like really hoppy ones now these days, those sort of examples of them. But this is fine. It's definitely one of the more flavorful nitro beers, especially when it comes to like the mass-produced ones. There's definitely some other nitro beers out there that kind of kill this at this point. But yeah, it's got no bite to it. I don't find it all that enjoyable. It's slightly more enjoyable than like Boddington's or something like that. Yet again, I just go back to the old saying. A British friend of mine said that it's basically like shaving cream in a fucking beer glass kind of thing. It's just like, eh. So for style, Irish Red, it's got some of the characteristics there. It's got the sort of caramel maltiness and stuff, but it's really deadened by the nitro process. So I'm gonna throw a 5 at it for that. And for my personal enjoyment, I'm just gonna go. It's drinkable. It's not actively bad, so I'm just gonna go 5 yet again. So 5 across the board.
5 and 5. All right, so we're gonna take 5 and 5, multiply that, and we're gonna go off the 10th. That was terrible, but we're doing it anyway.
This is
Chris.
25, Nick.
You add 5 to 5,
Okay, 5 plus
not
5.
multiply. Jesus, Nick.
Whatever. Shut up, Craig.
Oh, what to say about this beer? Okay, first of all, you guys know I love my nitros. I really do, but this nitro has no flavor, in my opinion. It doesn't really have anything going for it. And I really actually, when it comes down to nitro beers and stuff like that, I actually really enjoy my nitros being in a stout, especially in a higher ABV stout, or even in a porter if you can find a nitro. Well, you can. The vanilla porter Polish sex juice tastes way better than this when it comes down to flavors and stuff like that. As a red ale, you guys nailed it. There's not much flavor in this one. It's lost somewhere. I would love to try the like Lee said, love to try the version of this one that's not nitroed, and maybe even physics it and maybe sonicate it myself and see what happens with it flavor wise. So in the style, my rating on this one is I'm going to give this a 5.5 out of 10 for style, because Ashley said it as well. I mean, I'm just regurgitating what everyone else said.
Gross.
There's no
Never go first.
there's not really any, there's no bitterness to this one, and a nice red ale has a little bit of bitterness in it anyway. This one has nothing. This is super easy to drink, don't get me wrong. I mean, you can pound these down, and you're not gonna have, it's not offensive in any way or anything like that either. I mean, sure, it's a simple, easy beer to drink, but like I said, 5.5 for style for a red ale. And my personal enjoyment, it's all right. I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10 for my personal enjoyment. It's one of the lower end of nitro beers that I've consumed in my time. So yeah, there we go. So 5.5 for style and 6.5 for personal enjoyment.
Nice. Yeah. I'll say it later. All right. So, Greg, what's your history? Or not your
My history.
Dirt.
Jesus,
Your
Nick.
history is. I'm history. All right, go ahead, Greg.
You're more
what's
broken than
thoughts? We
Facebook
want to
is
know
today.
what you're thinking, not just what you're drinking.
I don't have a lot to say about this beer, really. I mean, I actually found that shaving cream in a can kind of be a fun analogy. It's, I don't particularly like red ales that much, generally speaking. This is not a particularly good one. I'd like to have some hops to it. All it is really sweetness. With the, being not nitroed, it probably takes away the flavor. Ashley's right. There's no smell to it. There's really not much taste to it other than caramel sweetness. I mean, like I say, it's not a style I particularly like to begin with. In fact, I've had a lot more bad red ales than I've had good ones. So I'm going to say as a style, it's sort of a 7. There's certainly some that are better. There's certainly some that are a lot worse. This one, at least, is not offensive. It is what it is. Personal enjoyment, I'm going to knock it down. It's boring. I'm not going to hit it as hard as Lee did, but I'm going to say it's a 6 for me. Like, it's just really like, I'm glad I didn't buy the 4-pack. I probably wouldn't buy this again. But that being said, if I had to drink it again, I wouldn't be upset. It just kind of it's there.
No. I'm going to say I fully agree, and my opinion is going to sound just like everybody else. I love that analogy where you say it's shaving cream to can, because it's pretty apt. It's basically when you, like Ash was saying, when you take a whiff, there's almost no smell. I mean, after I've drank a whole bunch of this, I'm starting to get maybe a bit more like a nutty, melty quality to it. But like the nitrogen as it's off gassing, it's just, there's no smell to it. And that's probably because maybe you can't smell nitrogen. The flavor I'm getting is this caramel maltiness, a little bit of like a walnut-like nuttiness to it, slightly bready. It's very, very creamy mouthfeel, but at the same time, it's a little soggy and weighing heavy in the back. There's a slight bitterness there, but it's there. You can tell it's there, but it's so slight that you can't really tell. Is it earthy or is it any kind of a hoppy? I mean, it's obviously gonna be some kind of British Isles style hop, like Styrian Goldings or some shit, but it's almost nothing. It's almost there, just enough to to give you that tiny little bit of biting, and then I'm getting more flavor out of it as it flattens. But yeah, it's pretty much like a somewhat boring. I'd be kind of curious to try the non-nitrogenated version if it really does exist. But as far as like as an Irish red ale, I prefer to have something that's like usually they're a little bit heartier or have a bit more bite to them and a lot more flavor. And this is just shaving cream and red ale mixed together. It's just, as far as all the nitro beers go, this is the low point, and this is what I was going to agree with Chris, is that this is the low point of the nitro beers for me. If I was to have the choice of buying, I don't mind this, but if I had the choice between buying a 4-pack of these and a 4-pack of Guinness, there's absolutely no question that I'd be going for the Guinness every time, all the time. This one, I don't know, for the style, I feel like there's especially as it warms up, it starts to lose its nitrogen. It starts to get a bit more of that red ale flavor, which is enough for me to say, hey, I'm going to give that a 6 for the style. It loses a lot, and it's just a boring red ale to begin with. Overall, the overall enjoyment here for me is a little bit higher because I do like it, and after all, I have drank this much. But there just seems to be something about it. Like, I almost seem to remember Kilkenny being better than this in the last couple of years. Is that to do with that move from Kilkenny to St. James Gate? I honestly don't know. I hate being the guy that says that, oh, they moved to a new brewery and it's not as good anymore. I do enjoy it. I just don't think it's super exciting. So I'm going to give it 6.5 for overall enjoyment. What are you saying, Greg?
No, I was going to say that can often be a thing, though. I mean, we all know that water can affect the beer if they're getting different water.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's a lot of differences in the mineral composition.
That's true. I mean, especially considering when you're the big thing that comes to mind for me though is like this is suddenly moving from the original Kilkenny brewery over to Guinness, and I suppose the character, because we're used to having the Guinness water or the water from St. James Gate in Guinness, not in Kilkenny. Anyway, whatever.
Let us know, Kilkenny and St. James Gate is the terroir in the new location. Is it noticeably different than it used to be?
I'm sure they're watching. Let's just hold our breath and wait for the response.
Yeah. All right. So, if there's any comments, we'll go to those.
Got a couple here. Rating Price says, not sure if I have had this beer. The beer disappeared from the state of Maine completely a couple years ago, and I hear it was only sold in kegs until it's in its final years. Eric Gilbert says, the non-nitro Kilkenny is like Smithwick's, maybe a bit softer. And there we go.
That's weird because they advertise the Kilkenny as being a stronger beer for export, you know?
Yeah,
I guess
about this one.
I guess we're gonna find out.
No, there's not. That's why I thought it was kind of funny when I was reading the comments. Like, it's a hoppier, maltier. Like, fucking Kilkenny? Are you serious? I'm writing this down because that's what you're saying. But that's a fucking joke.
What was the original?
Yeah, like, man.
Jesus.
I always found like Smithwick's the regular premium red Smithwick's that we get. I always found that a little bit harsh.
I found it funny that I think I had the highest score for overall enjoyment.
That's because you got so much Irish in you.
Yes, 78%.
Oh, really?
So there you have it. The Mongoloid liked it more than the rest of us.
Ashley, do you have any Polish in you?
Mongo.
No, I don't.
Would you like some?
No.
Nope.
Would you like some Japanese in you?
I'm so glad I rewatched that video the other day.
Oh, that's why you wanted to link to that.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I was folding laundry. I'm like, I really want to watch that beer analysis for whatever reason.
Are you saying that Beer Analysis 101 has replay value?
To a very slight
No.
It actually does.
God, no. What? You know what? I've actually sat down and I've watched one or two episodes, and like I watched a bit of it, and I find that it's weird that some of this stuff can be actually kind of interesting.
We are almost interesting.
Almost.
Yeah,
interesting.
we're at the very least.
Like listening to there's like one part and there's one part, and you listen to the history, then you listen to the to everybody giving their opinions, and just kind of get like there's something interesting to listen to at a nice even pace.
Well, at the very least, we're better than Massive Two Shits.
True, and that's what we strive for.
Mm-hmm. We continue to crush them every week.
How's your Paint Shop Pro going?
My MS Paint is almost done. I just need to move some clip art around. Some shitty Google pictures clip art that. Anyway,
Nick, you're the best MS Painter I've ever met.
right. All right, so there's our fire scores. Ratings style 5.9. That was totally brought down. Like, who brought that down? It was
Lee, probably.
Lee brought that down. Although Chris gave it a 5.5. So anyway, yeah. So Greg brought it up a little.
Yeah, there we go.
Greg always brings it up. Anyway, so and of course overall is 6.2. So yeah, we middle of the road. It's no MGD for sure.
Eric Gilbert says in the comments, Smithwick's is better hand pulled total hot garbage from a bottle or can. And since no one's asked in the comments, I'll just ask now. What's next week's beer, Nick?
Next week's beer is Sapporo. No, we're actually going all the way back to Mill Street.
Oh,
for
shit.
The only Polish sex juice vanilla porter or draft style vanilla porter from Mill Street. We're going back, yes, to yet another nitrogenated beer.
I was going to say that's another nitro beer. Fuck.
If
I
anyone
can't even find it right now.
If anyone wants to see Chris Lezak ejaculate on camera,
What do you mean if you can find it? Is this
you're
disappearing from shelves in Ontario?
Yeah, you don't have to pay for the Pornhub subscription.
Want to be honest with me, Chris?
It's disappearing.
You guys, okay, well, get it as soon as you can, if you can. If not,
And
you might have to change
Ashley will
change
check
the
the
beer
beer for me.
I'll find it.
no, you know what? It actually
He's got a
was
special set of
surprising-
skills.
It actually was surprisingly difficult to find. I had to drive to a non-normal LCBO that was like 3.5 kilometers away to get it, and it was inconvenient, Nick.
Such
And I had to
great.
get it because I got it for you, Nick, and that's only because I love you.
Yeah, and you got it.
It's a Mill Street.
No,
What?
Mill Street Vanilla Porter.
Vanilla porter.
God, I hope you guys can get it because we just decided to use it next week, and if you guys nobody
That'll be
other than Greg
humiliating
can
if-
get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a dual review.
Well, I imagine Chris already has 6 cans in his fridge.
Nope.
No,
Maybe,
you drank them all.
I would imagine Chris probably has a keg.
Nope.
Maybe the Honey Monster will buy a car and give Chad the ride to the LCBO to get a can.
Oh, that one.
or at least buy a 4-pack so you can give him one.
I think I can get that beer. I think I still can get that. If my shelf isn't flooded with the incredible selection of local craft breweries now because it's an A store.
I was gonna say an A store. You must be getting Mill Street.
No, yeah. We always got Mill Street.
A store.
It's a store.
Interstate quality product. Not as good as
Wow, there's not a lot around.
Yeah, I know.
I'll get it as soon as you can. Don't wait till next.
Oh.
You hear
It's like
that,
the
Red
Polish
Brew?
after World War II. There wasn't a lot of them around.
That's
Oh, not at least in Europe anymore.
Portage Road.
Okay.
They have 34.
Okay, good. Okay.
Hey, Redbeard.
Okay.
Redbeard.
Okay,
You hear
tomorrow.
this, Redbeard? Get it now, this week. Don't wait till next week. Don't wait till the night of.
Check if there's any North Bay Ash.
And you fucking hillbilly in your North Bay boondocks. Fucking get out of your...
I don't see anything on the
Red's on his own on
NSLC.
this one.
Drive
he's-
to Sudbury and get it. You can try Taco Bell while you're there.
Some ethnic food, yeah.
Some ethnic. Getting some good culture.
Oh, floor fries. Oh, yeah.
Well then. So
All right, let's end this shit.
Yeah.
and,
Oh, they only have cobblestone stout in Nova Scotia from the looks of the NSLC. Anyway, all right, so we'll move along. If we have to change it, we'll make a post or something and update everybody.
No, we won't. You'll find out the night of.
I'll place a comment like the night before. Anyway, maybe. If not, whatever. Nobody watches this shit anyway.
I do.
Anyway, I want to thank people who are watching. And I want to say we're going to go live in a moment here with the after chat, of course. And I want to thank everybody for watching, everybody for coming on. And I'm sorry, Ash, that I mentioned something at the start of this thing. And we're
We're sorry we interrupted your poop.